Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Alumni Chats, a podcast featuring alumni from the Department of Broadcasting and Journalism here at Western Illinois University. My name is Buzz Hoon, and I'm the host of the podcast. My guest today is Jennifer Moore, formerly Jennifer Smith, class of 1994, and welcome, Jennifer. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
And, we were just kind of catching up a little bit before we started the podcast. And 1994, it seems like it was yesterday that I remember talking with you up on the floor of Salee Hall.
Yeah.
Time flies so quickly.
It's been a long time. How many years is that? That's what? Over 22 years, 23 years? Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been there.
So one of the things that I wanted to do is kind of catch up with you where you are now. So give everybody a life update. Then we'll talk about your journey and how you got to where you are. So tell everybody where you are now.
Well, I live in Knoxville, Tennessee. I moved here in 1998, so I've been here, quite a while. And I moved here pretty much after college. I worked in Springfield for 4 years, and then I came here for a job. So I've been in Tennessee for a while.
Okay. And what's your position?
I work at HGTV, Home and Garden Television, cable network. It's based out of Knoxville, which is, most people are like, really? Why is it in Knoxville, Tennessee? But that's where the headquarters are for HGTV. Discovery bought us a couple of years ago. It used to be under Scripps Networks, but now it's under Discovery, which owns a ton of networks like ID, TLC. We own Food Network, Magnolia, which is coming out soon. So a lot of networks based out of here in Knoxville.
So when you came to WIU back in the 90s, you came from the Springfield area, right? You said your parents...
Yeah, my parents live in Springfield. I went to Williamsville High School.
Okay.
Close by. Yeah.
So when you came to WIU, did you have an idea that this is the media, that you were going to work in the media? And if so, what kind of area were you interested in?
I always knew I wanted to work in TV. I loved watching TV.
Yeah.
I liked Western because, your broadcasting floor is very impressive. I remember going there, touring the space, and I was in awe of all the equipment, and it was just really cool to me. So I chose Western because it was close to my parents, but still far enough away that, I could live on my own. And I did know I wanted to go into TV. I didn't necessarily want to go into news, however, but TV. Yeah.
And one of the memories that I have of you is seeing you on the third floor of Salee for extended periods of time. And I think you were involved in a number of activities, including back in the day when we did Macomb Magazine. Is that right?
Yeah. Do you still do that?
We don't. We do a Friday morning news show. They do it live.
Okay.
And they call Good Morning Macomb. So it's in
kind of the same
style.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked that because it was more entertainment, not so much news per se, but yeah, it gave me the opportunity to do, promotion for a show, which kind of is what I do now. So that was a good stepping stone.
So what kind of memories do you have of WIU? What do you remember? Activities, people, friends?
Well, I remember a lot of the classes were fun. It wasn't like you were studying chemistry or whatever. We got to go to sporting events and, cover basketball games, which was fun, but also class credit, I do remember we had to carry equipment a lot. I don't know what y'all do now, but I remember carrying like giant tripods and big bags that held equipment all by yourself, across campus. So that was interesting.
Yes, back in those days, you probably had your own recording tape recorder, probably 3/4 inch.
Yes, 3/4 inch.
3/4 inch tape recorder and a camera and a huge tripod. And it's funny how, as we've evolved through the years and the students saw that as a badge of honor to be able to, carry their equipment across the Macomb campus.
Yeah. What do they do now?
They have a DV cam.
Uh-huh.
So it's a much smaller camcorder, and the tripods are much lighter, but they
Right.
still see it as a huge travesty that they have to
Area.
because, well, the campus is the campus. So especially in January, there is it's cold and
Yes.
it's a lot of stuff to carry for one person.
Right.
But of course, now they have buses, so they can jump on a Go
Oh,
West bus and go somewhere where you didn't have that ability.
nice. No, we walked everywhere.
So when you left WIU and then you said you went to Springfield and worked at a TV station for a
Yeah.
few years, but tell us about how you got involved.
Well, I got a job at Fox 55 and 27. I think it's still called that today. I was a production coordinator. So basically, I did anything that they asked of me, you know, grabbing satellite feeds, putting out tapes for master control, just any small task. But yeah, I worked there for 4 years and started doing more like producing with, we had a kids club. So we had like a host and she would go to events and meet kids and we would do meet and greets and stuff like that. And we would do PSAs and stuff and I would help produce that. So that's when I knew I really wanted to be more on the production side, of things. I didn't want to be in news and they were talking about starting a newscast and it really didn't interest me very much. So I started looking for jobs elsewhere.
And the amazing thing is back at the time when you're looking,
Uh-huh.
you get hooked up. Somehow you get connected to HGTV, which at the time, no one I'm sure knows about.
No,
And now everybody does.
Yeah, it started, I think, in 94. So right when I graduated college, I started watching it and I just liked the content and I was like, I want to work there. Had no idea where they were based, how hard it would be to get a job here, but I'm like, I'm going to work here. And everyone's like, you're crazy. How are you going to get a job at HGTV? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going to apply. And that's what I did. I just applied for a job.
Yeah, how did you eventually get that first opportunity? Because it really was very difficult for somebody to get their foot in the door.
Yeah, back then, there was no LinkedIn. We barely had the internet. I sound so old. We barely had the internet back then. We really didn't. We just started getting email and you applied for a job by mailing in a resume. You found an ad in a magazine, basically, and it gave you the address to mail your resume. And that's what I did. I saw a job for a promo producer, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna apply for that. I'm totally not qualified. I barely had any experience, but I just tried.
And you did it very creatively, right?
Oh yeah. It was around Christmas, and back then they're like, oh, make sure your resumes gets their attention and all that. So I'm like, oh, cool. It's Christmas. I'm going to mail my resume inside of a Christmas ornament. And that's what I did. I bought like a big Christmas ornament and put my resume in it and sent it. It worked though. I got an interview, so it worked. I'm not sure it would work today, but it worked back then.
Well, it's a great idea. And then, so eventually you get your first opportunity to prove yourself there. And what's really, I think, been interesting is how they have continued to put out so much new content in different ways that really, I think, has helped that network grow significantly.
Yeah, it's really popular, I think, because it's just a safe network. Lots of families watch it together. You're not going to have any violence or cussing. It's just a safe channel to put on. And it's really popular. I think we're usually in the top 10 in ratings every day. So it's a great place to work. I'm very, very happy I got the job.
I don't know if I've ever shared with you, but when I was department chair in broadcasting and I'd give tours up on the third floor to prospective students and their parents, I would spend time highlighting different people along the way. Of course, if there was somebody interested in sports, I'd point them in this direction, or somebody interested in news over here. But I would always take time, especially if there were a family unit, because I knew the moms would have some special reaction to see HGTV because just as my wife, would you and I told her about this opportunity I was going to have to talk to you, she wanted, to find all about what you do on an average day. So let me ask you, what do you do on an average day?
Well, now is a little different than pre-COVID, but in general, I watch TV. I mean, that's really my job. I watch a lot of HGTV.
I want that job.
I know. I always say that's my job. I watch TV. I went to school. I learned how to do it. But I mean, basically, you're assigned a show. So say I was assigned Fixer Upper or whatever, House Hunters. And you watch show after show after show trying to find the best moments. I mean, my job is to get people to watch it. It's just kind of like making a movie trailer, but a shorter version. So my job is to get people to tune in. We want the ratings for that show. And so you watch a lot of shows, But then day to day, I work with an editor. Right now we work virtually, which is not ideal, but we're making it happen. And I send him a script and he puts together, a spot. It goes through design. We have designers in-house. We have musicians in-house that create our music beds. And we have sound designers that add all the sound effects. And it's a big team. It's not just me, making it happen. It's a lot of people, a lot of approvals. Spots go all the way up to the CEO watches them, before we give them to a network to air. So it's touched by a lot of people.
Well, but it's very effective because I can tell you that network is on every night on our channel. In
every doctor's office too. I mean, you can't get away from it.
Well, you're right in the fact that if you watch for one particular show, and if you have done your job properly, you've now lured somebody into watching on another night for another show.
Exactly. That's the goal. When you're watching a commercial break, you will see a promo for another show. So that's the goal, is to get you to remember when it's on and watch it, or set your DVR to record it.
Now, one of the projects that you were involved in, which I thought would have been a lot of fun, and I remember when some of those shows aired, was about a very Brady.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that project?
Yeah. If anybody's watched the Brady Bunch, the outside of their house is a real house in Hollywood, but nothing else is the same. So the rest was just a TV set, So HGTV bought that house in Hollywood and then made the inside look like the show. I mean, it was not like that at all. So they added a whole second floor. They dug out the foundation. They made a backyard that looked like the show. I mean, every inch of it looked exactly the same. It was amazing. So we did a promo shoot out there with the entire cast of the Brady Bunch was there, and it was so cool. I mean, I was starstruck. I'm like, oh, the Bradys are here. But it was a huge production. It was a lot of fun.
So I think that Barry Williams made a visit to WIU.
Did he really?
Yes, he did. It was probably in the 90s. He was promoting his book, and I think I helped somebody go over and do an interview with him.
I did interview him. He had another show a few years ago on another one of our networks, and I had to interview him. And he flat out told me, he's like, do not ask me any questions about the Brady Bunch. And I was like, what am I supposed to ask you about? And he got mad when I did. I was like, I'm sorry, but I have to ask you about the Brady Bunch.
What were you going to ask him about? His appearance on the Love Boat or something?
He had a show in Branson,
a
variety show, and that's what he wanted to talk about. But nobody really cared about that,
Yeah, I'm sure that they have spent their entire lives hearing from people like ourselves that want to talk about the show over and over again, because we grew up watching it.
Yeah, exactly.
So another kind of really cool project that you've been involved with is about the giveaway houses and other sort of events that have been, you're involved in the production or the promotion of those. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, HGTV gives away 3 homes a year. So if anybody's listening, you should enter. They're sweepstakes, so it's totally random. They pick one winner for each house. And you basically, I mean, to be honest, here's a secret. Nobody keeps the house because the taxes are really, really high. I mean, they're like $1 million prize packages.
Yeah.
So what you can do is take the cash giveaway instead, or the cash payout. But anyway, it's a lot of money that you can win. So we do 3 a year. They're in different places around the US. One is the HGTV Dream Home is the one most people have heard about. And then we do a smart home and we do an urban giveaway. So everybody enter.
So you can't like direct them at a particular professor you may have had in college, huh?
I cannot rig it so that you win.
Oh, that's kind of disappointing.
Enter.
So you talked a little bit about how you're dealing with your job now that COVID is hit, and so you have the opportunity to work from home. Is that the way it's probably going to last for a while?
Yeah, we've been working from home since March 13th. They sent us home to test out the system, and we never went back. So yeah, it'll be almost a year. They're telling us it'll be summer at least. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I haven't seen my coworkers in almost a year, except for this, like Zoom. We have Zoom calls.
Well, is that make your job much more difficult to do, or are you learning to adjust as you go?
We're learning to adjust. The hardest thing is we can't travel. There's a travel ban.
Mm-hmm.
So we cannot physically be on a set. So we do all of our shoots like this through Zoom. So we hire a very small crew to go to like the dream home, and then they set up a Zoom link and we just watch it through Zoom, and we text each other or call, and you're directing basically over Zoom. It's very different.
So you must learn more about your job and the nonverbal parts, or when you actually were on location and having the ability to direct people in a particular way, or be creative in a different way that maybe is somewhat frustrating now.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating because you can only see so much on a computer screen, the color is not the same. You can't just look around and pick a shot. You're basically relying on a computer. So yeah, it's a little difficult, but I'm super grateful that they didn't lay us all off and say, well, we can't do anything. I mean, they still are shooting shows, and it's just a lot different.
Well, we're also thankful for that. Not only for you, but just so that we can have that sort of people that are stuck at home want to come at the end of the day and have content that they enjoy to watch. Yeah,
it's true.
So that's I'm glad for you. I'm also glad for the rest of the nation that we have that. So if you were giving recommendations to our current students, that see maybe they don't have they want to be involved with television, but as you found out, they don't have really that sort of love of news or love of sports. How do they get involved in this type of production?
Well, nowadays, I think now internships is what I'm trying to say. Doing internships in different fields is so important because so many businesses have media departments or have social media departments or marketing departments, but still use a lot of video. But if you have an interest in that, I would say do internships at different companies, not just a TV station. Don't just limit yourself to a TV station or to, a sports cast or a radio station. I didn't really have any interest in that, but I started at a TV station to get a little experience. But then I looked elsewhere. I'm like, where else in this entire United States would I want to go? Don't limit yourself to just Illinois. not saying bad things about Illinois, but there's so many opportunities, across the United States that you could try. And if you don't like it, then try a different kind of internship. There's so many different, especially like at Discovery, there's so many different departments that I didn't even know existed, like research or marketing or PR, or every day I have to deal with different departments. And I'm like, those are all jobs that, any college kid could get if you start at the bottom and work your way up, which is what I had to do.
Yeah. And not only that, but you've kind of mentioned the importance of networking as well, and staying in contact with people. Can you kind of tell them a little bit about that?
We get a lot of interns, but the ones that I remember that are most successful are the ones who don't just do the job that they were assigned. They were constantly coming in and saying, "Can you teach me how to do this?" Or, "Will you show me how to do this?" Or, "I have a few minutes here. Can I watch you do your job?" They were the ones that were go-getters. They never sat around on their phones. They were constantly wanting to learn. And I can think of 2 interns now that we hired because they were so good. Their work ethic was really, really good. And they're both really successful at the company.
And that's such great advice to young people and when I talk to people in classes, even here at WIU, I talk about making sure that they do things that give me things that I can then tell somebody as a recommendation.
Yes.
If you really want a strong recommendation letter as a reference from somebody else, you need to go outside of what's expected, go beyond, so we can go on and on about you.
That's so true. It's really true.
So Jennifer, you are in Tennessee and happy you got a daughter that's in high school, and everything else. One of the things that I like to say is, in another 10 years, do you think this is...
Wow. I don't know. In another 10 years, if my job would actually be around. Things are changing so much with streaming services and
Right.
cable. Cable TV, I hope will still be around, but I don't know. We are launching a streaming service, Discovery Plus. That's a shameless plug.
Yeah, no, that's right.
We just launched in January, so we're hoping that's a great success. For people that don't watch cable, which are a lot of people.
Yeah, and now more and more of these video services are going that route. So I think that there's an expectation that people will start to pick content that they want to have specifically for them, and it's interesting that how the business is changing, whereas it used to be everything was built upon the networks and what the networks were willing to put out for people to watch.
Yeah, streaming is pretty much where it's at.
Well, I appreciate your time this morning, Jennifer, talking with you. It's so great to catch up.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. Just a reminder for those that are watching the podcast, remember to join us again next week when we'll have an opportunity to talk with another alum from Western Illinois University. We hope that you will join us for that podcast. Until then, stay safe, take care, and God bless.